Hi guys, it's Aisling and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing another kind of advice type of video that I will sit down here today and I will talk to you about school. This video is to help you guys and girls who are in secondary school, which is what it's called in Ireland, or high school in other countries. In Ireland you start secondary school, which is a brand new school. It's a whole new building. You like leave your primary area with all your younger school kids. So in our setting in Ireland you start secondary school around 12. I started at 12 and I finished at 17. So it's 5 years cycle. You have 3 years of your junior cycle, 2 years of your senior cycle, and 2 big exams at the end of those. The Leaving Cert being the biggest and most terrifying exam you'll probably do in your whole entire life, because it determines what college/university you're going to attend. Although school systems are different in every country, things remain the same. So things like cliques, boys, girls, friends, popularity, study, everything like that remains the same. We have to deal with it in every single school situation. So I am going to touch on a couple of those subjects. If there's any specific things that you want more detail on, like studying for instance, or how to deal with relationships, or how to talk to your first crush, tell me and I will do a whole separate video on it. What I'm saying in this video is just coming from my own personal experience. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is obviously education, because why would we be in the house of education if we weren't here to learn? That's what school is all about. And I know it sounds like a funny thing that you go to school to get yourself educated, because I went to school for the fun. Yes, it is about education, and that is the most important thing. If you take anything from this video, I am not slagging or sneering or having a joke about education anyway, because it is so important. Yes, I had fun in school. I had so much fun in school. My school years were the best years of my entire life, bar none. But I put my head down and I studied and I did my homework, I did my assignments, I handed up my assessments on time, I made sure that my projects were handed in on time, I made sure that everything was done on time and done to the best that I could do it. I didn't compare myself to Sarah down the road or Rachel in the next class. I compared myself to my previous work that I had done, and I said, oh, you did a bit worse than that, or you did a bit better than that. If you start comparing yourself to other students and their academic abilities, you're just going to get yourself upset. There are certain things in your education that you're not going to be good at. You're not going to be the best at everything. I was a science and a math person. I am not a language person. I'm more of a scientific, mathematical brain, and that's what I went on to do in college. Don't get bogged down if you are amazing at art or something, but you want to be a physics teacher. Don't ever get upset because you're good at something in school and you're not good at something else, and that's what you want to do. That doesn't make any difference. If that's something that you want to do and you're passionate enough about it, you will make it work for you and you will work your hardest. Put your best abilities into what you do and what you want to get out of school. If Sarah is saying to you, I'm not really studying and I'm coming out with A grades, you're gonna know, there's something funny going on there. Don't listen to her, listen to yourself and do your own study and work hard, and you will get your grades. If you want to get into college and you want to do the course that you want to do, you gotta put your head down, and that's the most important thing. The next thing I'm going to talk about is probably a bit random, but it's eating healthy. Yes, I am a nutritionist, and yes, that is what I am here to talk to you about. You are not going to get good grades in school if you are not fueling your mind with the proper types of nutrients. So make sure you do not leave the house without any breakfast. If you feel sick in the morning, like I used to when I was going to school, it's because your blood sugars are so low and that's what's making you feel nauseous in the morning. Have some fruit. I used to bring an apple with me in my bag and I would eat it in the car on the way to school. It was much better than me leaving the house with an empty stomach. Try and go with things like porridge. I eat it with cinnamon and banana, as you guys know from my Snapchat, or things like even Weetabix is better, or if you want to go with a fruit compote, a little bit of yogurt over it, something like that, just to break your fast. You just want to be going into school with something in your stomach that you're not going to be constantly thinking about how hungry you feel and you're in the middle of math class. Now, you're not really listening to what the teacher says because you're so hungry and that's all you're thinking about, and you're waiting until your 11 o'clock break so you can have something to eat. So make sure you eat healthy. Goes for your lunch, goes for your snacks, goes for your dinner. Try and fuel your brain the best you can. Have fish twice a week, because we all know that omega fats are great for the fueling of the brain and brain functioning and cognitive development. I will put a link down below to healthy breakfasts that I recommend, and I have linked them in my blog, recipes and things you can eat in the morning before going to school or just in general. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is friends. Friends! Yeah. So we all go to school to make friends. Well, it's not why we go to school, but when we are in school, we make friends. You might have a best friend and you go to secondary school and your friend is not in your class, or they went to a different secondary school and you're heartbroken and you feel like you can't get over it and you're never going to see them again. It's not that you ever forget that friend, but you make other friends and you see that friend on the weekends, or maybe when you get home in the evenings they might call over if they live in your neighborhood or whatever it may be. You don't have to pick one friend over the other. That's what annoys me. Girls more so than guys, like they find a new friend and then their old friend becomes like old news, just like the old slipper, and it's not a nice feeling for that friend who used to be very close to you now seeing you develop a new relationship with somebody else, but for you to exclude her or him, that feeling is just horrible. And it's happened to me before, and I've had that friend come back to me and say I was so wrong, and I've been like, look, these things happen, we'll just move on from it. When you are growing up and you're going through school, these things happen, so maybe don't exclude your friend. Maybe she doesn't go to the same school as you now, but you're going out in the weekends maybe to the cinema with this new group of friends. Bring her along, because it's important to just have a nice variety of friends, and those people that you've been friends with for young ages, you know, they tend to be your lifelong friends. And don't ever exclude anybody, or if you think that you're doing it and you don't realize it, or if somebody's doing it to you, speak up and, you know, say, look, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was excluding you, or, you know, do you mind when you went off last weekend and you had a sleepover with the other girls, I kind of felt a bit left out because I wasn't asked. Just speak up and talk, and that's the most important thing. Let your friend know, and I'm sure if they did know that they were hurting you in some way or that they were excluding you, that they would say, oh god, I'm so sorry, come on, we'll do this next time. If they don't do that, then they are not a friend. So that leads me on to the next thing about being yourself, guys. There is no better feeling than being yourself. I went through school being myself and being oblivious to things, and I've later found out, actually after leaving school, people saying, oh, did you know that she had it in for you when you were in school because you were this type of person? And I was like, no. I was oblivious to everything because I was just trying to find myself. That is not a very, very easy thing to do, and I know that's not a very easy thing to do. I came from a family where if I was acting funny, my mum would be like, come on, this isn't you. Talk to me, what's bothering you? And I would tell my mum what was bothering me, and she would like, no, here's what you need to do. These people that you're trying to impress, they're not your friends. These girls over here that are impressed by you as you are, these are your friends, and these are the people you need to associate yourself with. So be yourself. I don't want to talk about it too much because it is a negative subject, but it leads me on to bullying and feeling isolated. Girls have a really, really odd way of bullying. You only notice it when you become the victim of it. We have a horrible way of bullying people, whereas guys probably go out and like they kick 10 shades of out of each other, then they shake hands and it's all forgotten about and they just don't care, or else they just part ways and it's just not a big deal. Whereas girls are like, did you see what she did? Did you hear what she said? Oh my god, look what she's wearing! And they're like talking about each other behind their backs. Mean Girls is a perfect example. That movie is a perfect example of how girls go on. Like with a bit where Regina's like, oh my god, where's your skirt from? It's amazing. And she's like, oh, it was my mom's in the 80s. And she's like, that's the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen. Behind her back. That's the way that girls go along. And it is bullying and it is bitching and it is just nasty. I tend not to do that because my mum often said to me, if you've nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. I don't want to hear this, and don't be talking about people behind their backs, and that's negative, and you know, that person could be a nice person, you don't know what's going on in that person's life, whatever it may be. My mum would never really tolerate me talking about someone behind their back, and I never really did it then. If I ever felt susceptible to it in school, I removed myself from the situation. Easier said than done, because like I said, I have a completely different personality to maybe some of you guys. Some of you guys may feel like you have a very similar personality to me. I was so lucky because my mum and dad grounded me. They really, really kept me grounded. If you feel like you're being picked on in some way, or you feel like somebody's being nasty to you, somebody's talking about you behind your back, that's not okay. It's not okay to feel unhappy about a situation. It's not okay to feel sad. It's not okay to feel victimized or bullied or picked on. And like I said, girls do it in a sneaky way. So they might say behind somebody's back, and you might be there going, I don't actually like what you're saying about that girl. Stand up for that other person and be a bigger person and say to her, no, this is not okay. You cannot say things about somebody behind their back. I've learned to do it in recent years, like I mean the last 5 years maybe. I hated the isolation bullying as well. Oh, we're all having a sleepover in Rebecca's house this evening, but you're not invited, la 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 la. Or the next day they'd be coming in, oh my god, wasn't Saturday so amazing? Oh yeah, I had the best night ever, and you're standing there going, yeah, I wasn't invited, why? That's not a nice feeling feeling, and that's bullying and isolation. And then they'd say, oh, you would have had so much fun there, Ashling. Oh, but we didn't invite you because we thought you were away this weekend with your parents. It's not a nice feeling. It's a horrible feeling, in fact, and I've been there and I know what it's like, and it's nasty. Like I said, I let these things kind of just roll off my back and I moved on. And not everyone can do that, and some people actually get so hurt by something like that. Another thing my mum hated and hates to this day and would never let me do it is gossiping. So she would often say, believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. If you are being bullied, you know you're being bullied because you feel it, or you're maybe being physically bullied, or you could be mentally bullied. Bullying is so unnecessary and it's so horrible, and it can ruin people's experiences with school. The last kind of points I want to talk about are a little bit about relationships. I'm talking about like having a boyfriend or girlfriend. You should really listen to your parents on this one, okay? I'm not going to say, oh yeah, it's fine to have a relationship in secondary school if your parents are not happy with it. So listen to your parents because they do know what's best. I'm so sorry guys, the end of this video got completely cut off and I did want to include it because it's kind of an important point. The one thing I will say about this is to listen to your parents. So if your parents are saying, no, you can't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend until you're an X, Y, and Z age, then you've got to listen to them. Or if they say to you, yeah, it's okay if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend as long as your studies don't suffer. If you're good at balancing like I was, then you should have no problem. But what happens the majority of the time is some girls and guys get consumed with their new relationship and their studies kind of fall by the wayside, so they forget all about studying and how much time you need to put into your studies. So don't let that happen. If your parents say that you are allowed a relationship, make sure that it is 50-50 or even 70-30. I mean, you need to put that much amount into your studies, because don't forget, your studies are going to help you for the rest of your life, what colleges you go to, what university, what jobs you get, whereas that relationship may not last. I hope that makes sense. That's no disrespect to anybody who's in a relationship right now and you're in school. I mean, I started a relationship with Jimmy when I was doing my leaving cert and we're still together today. A lot of couples that I know right now started their relationships in school. Great things can blossom from that, but just to be careful that you don't let it interfere with your studies at that time, that you put your everything into your studies, because it's just a few years, that's all. So it is important to listen to your parents on that one, and to listen to yourself. If you're able to balance out your relationship and your studies and making sure you give enough time to your studies, then that's what's all that matters. But just to bear in mind when you are in school that your relationship may not always be the most private relationship, because you are in school, so people talk. That's what happens. They talk and it becomes gossip, and it's so exciting because people are in relationships and we never knew that people kissed or anything like that, and now they're kissing, and oh my god, let's talk about it and let's tell everybody. So sometimes those things happen too. You just have to bear that in mind and don't let it interfere with your relationship, and just let people talk and say whatever they want, because I did. I never cared. If people want to think they know my relationship better than me, that's fine. Let them think whatever they want, because at the end of the day they don't, and you're the person in the relationship, and you just listen to yourself and your parents, because even though at the time I thought they knew nothing, they actually know an awful lot. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry for the disturbance of putting this bit into the end. It's just, I had the whole video filmed and edited and uploaded, and the end bit was corrupt. I don't know what happened to it, but here it is. That's all I said. Anyway, I was just talking about relationships. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the surviving school edition video and a bit of advice. If you've any questions, leave them down below. If you've any requests for more updated advice videos, leave them down below. Leave everything you want in the questions or comment section, and I will talk to you in my next video. I love you guys. Mwah. Talk to you then. Bye.